Welcome to the CMG Sports NFL pregame show. I am Joe McGuire along with Lucas Balduck and Sean Scanlon. We are going to run through big games of the weekend. We will also take a look at who's in and who's out. We'll talk fantasy, and we've got player and team profiles from Steve Rister and from Riley Valdez. Excited to be here. Excited for another week. Yesterday in college football, I hit a nice parlay, made some nice money, got a couple of nice ones today. Really looking forward to the NFL. But before we jump into the slate of games for this week, let's talk about this game, the Cowboys and the Saints on Thursday Night Football. Kind of an interesting game from the standpoint of you didn't really get a great offensive performance from the Dallas Cowboys. This one really was really defensive driven, only 238 yards passing and a touchdown for Dak Prescott. Taysom Hill got picked off 4 times for the Saints. Tavon Diggs, his 9th interception of the season. Lucas, let me ask you this. It's becoming more apparent that their defense is good. And at times we get a little this Dallas defense, this Dallas team, I should say, I think is as complete a team as there is in the NFC.
Yeah, I mean that certainly was a concern coming into the season, was how is the Cowboys defense going to hold up? Because last year, if you'll remember, they gave up a lot of points and a lot of yards. But I mean, they have rookie Micah Parsons, who's making a difference. Keanu Neal, who's playing a new position. Parsons, speaking of him, got his 10th sack in that game. Obviously, Joe, you mentioned they intercepted Taysom Hill 4 times, although some of them were some pretty errant throws from Taysom Hill. And Joe, it's funny you mentioned fantasy, because Taysom Hill somehow still managed to outscore Dak Prescott while throwing 4 interceptions. Probably the rushing yards. I think in my league, Taysom Hill had 20.6, but he threw 4 picks. But 2 touchdowns and 101 rushing yards will get you 20 points, I guess. So that's that. But yeah, Joe, this Cowboys defense certainly was a question mark coming in. But now that you look at it, the 8-4 Cowboys, I mean, yeah, look at that. Trayvon Diggs is leading the NFL in interceptions. And while he is a guy that, you know, we saw when the Patriots played the Cowboys, Trayvon Diggs intercepted Mac Jones. Very next play, Mac Jones goes right back to him and gets a 75-yard touchdown. He gives up a lot of yards. He gives up big plays, but he also creates turnovers, which help his team win. So the defense for the Cowboys is certainly something that has caught me off guard and certainly made them a legit contender in the NFC.
Yeah, it's scary to think if they don't score a ton of points or if their offense isn't running like a well-oiled machine that they're still going to win. Now, Sean, the Saints, what a good start to the season. Obviously, you lose your starting quarterback. They haven't gotten things righted there. Kamara's been hurt for parts of the year. Michael Thomas hasn't been around all year. What do you make of the Saints? I mean, is this simply just a quarterback thing? And how bad is Taysom Hill as a quarterback? Let's be honest here.
I think there's a lot of talent on this team, obviously, on the offensive side of the ball, but missing Alvin Kamara, one of the best backs in the league, is going to be tough to overcome. Michael Thomas is one of the best receivers in the league. We haven't seen him all year. And I think Jameis going down with an injury really hurt them. I think that, you know, we saw that they got off to a 5-2 start, and now I don't think they've won since. So this defense has a lot of talent. Obviously, they did really good against the run, except for that one Tony Pollard play where Marcus Williams might have taken the worst angle I've ever seen. I don't know what he was doing when he let Tony Pollard pretty much just run right by him. But this run defense is still pretty good. I mean, Marshawn Lattimore is a stud in the secondary, so this defense will keep you in games because the Cowboys really didn't look too sharp on offense, but Taysom Hill, when you give the ball away 4 times, it's going to be tough to overcome. So I don't think Taysom Hill is the answer at quarterback. I think we found that out on Thursday night. I think that obviously he's a good gadget guy. Sean Payton is a great play caller, so he finds good ways to mix him into the game plan. But I think we found out Thursday night that he's not the answer at quarterback. And I think we saw weeks before that Trevor Siemian isn't the answer either. So I think the Saints are just probably going to have to pack it in for the rest of the year. Obviously, I don't think Sean Payton is going to tank it, but I just don't think they have enough talent on offense to really, stay in games like this. I think that at most you're going to get 20 to 24 points a week from this offense, especially if they keep turning the ball over at this rate. So the defense will keep them in games the rest of the season, but with all their playmakers gone, I think that it's going to be a rough year for the Saints the rest of the way. I don't think that they really have any chance at a playoffs, even though that 7th seed in the NFC is up for grabs for pretty much anyone. I think that it's more likely that a team like the Vikings or maybe even Washington, who's been playing better, will make that spot. And yeah, I think without Jameis Winston, Alvin Kamara, this Saints season has pretty much all but come to an end.
That's a bummer. I will tell you this, in terms of Taysom Hill, when I was a younger man, there was a quarterback who could do a little bit of everything. His name was Slash Cordell Stewart out of the University of Colorado. And he had no success in the NFL until they finally just let him be the quarterback. And there's something about Taysom Hill. That's great. I mean, he's a fantasy juggernaut, right? But fantasy and reality are two very different things.
Yeah.
That is rough. All right. Before we jump into the Chargers and the Bengals game, Steve Risser from Sports Talk with R&J did a player profile on Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow.
Hello, everyone. This is Steve Risser, host of Sports Talk with R&J, and today my player profile is on Joe Burrow. In his second year, Joe Burrow has already established himself as the Bengals quarterback of the future. He has all the tools to be a solid QB. He's got a good arm, he's mobile, he's accurate, and he makes good decisions. Burrow had a solid rookie season. He was the first rookie to throw for over 300 yards in 3 consecutive games. Unfortunately, his rookie year didn't come without a setback. In a Week 11 game against Washington, he tore his ACL and MCL on the same play, and he was out for the season. Coming into this year, many questioned how Burrow would recover from his injury, but he hasn't missed a beat. In his first 11 games, he has 17 touchdowns and 8 interceptions and has led the Bengals to a 7-4 record. Burrow should have a good game against the Chargers defense that has been inconsistent all year.
All right. I love this game. Chargers and the Bengals. The Bengals have been playing really well. However, they've certainly had a couple of slip-ups. The game against the Jets and the game against Cleveland do certainly jump to mind. This guy on Keys to the City earlier this week, we talked about which of these young quarterbacks would you prefer to have, Herbert or Burrow. And the reason why Joe's big head is on the screen is because overwhelmingly 3-0, we said that we want Burrow over Herbert. Sean, first, let me ask you that. Of these two young guys, who both, by the way, have losing records for their career, and you know me, I like quarterbacks that win, which of these two guys do you think is better right now? And maybe which guy would you start your franchise with?
I would start my franchise with Justin Herbert. I think it's very close. I think these two quarterbacks are going to be in the NFL for a long time with a lot of success. But I just think Justin Herbert, the arm strength that he has, the intangibles that he brings, he's good at scrambling out of the pocket. I think that the last couple of weeks he hasn't played that well, but I just think the overall talent that this guy brings, I think that he has a chance to be a top 5 quarterback in this league for a long time. I think that he has all the talent. He has, as long as he has Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler around him. They brought in some linemen this year with Rashawn Slater, who will be probably his left tackle for the next 10 to maybe 15 years if both those guys are there. They bring in Corey Linsley. So I think this offense is built for success. I think they're both in good situations. I think that both of their offenses are very good. But as of right now, I think that I would take Justin Herbert. I think that just he has the overall more talent than Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow might have that winning mentality, that killer instinct more just coming from that LSU program where obviously nobody even came close to beating them that year. And then coming into the NFL, he's kind of turned this Bengals team around. I don't think anyone expected the Bengals to be great this year, but right now they're at 7-4. And I think they could have done better last year too if he didn't tear his ACL. So I think it is very close, but I would take Justin Herbert as my QB to build around for the next 10 to 15 years. But I also think that Burrow will be right there with him as one of the top quarterbacks in the league for, at least the next 10 years.
Lucas, I'll ask you, and maybe you'll give a better answer. Just kidding, Sean. I'm just joking.
Yeah, like Sean said, it is very, very close. Obviously, these two guys, very, very talented, both under 25 years old. So exactly the guy you're looking for to start a franchise with. But if they were both in the same draft class and I had the number 1 overall selection, I'm gonna have to side with you. I'm gonna have to go with Joe Burrow. I mean,
yeah. There's just something about the pedigree. I don't know.
Something about him. I mean, the way he's come back from this injury, seeing obviously a significant knee injury is not something easy to come back from. Probably a little bit easier when you're a quarterback. You don't rely as much on your running ability, but nevertheless, it's a significant and traumatic knee injury to go through. To come back and play like this and take a Bengals team, I mean, to basically, I assume they were going to be bottom feeders, like once again, like they have been the past however many years since the stretch of playoff games where they lost. But overall, this is a very just exciting game for me. The Bengals obviously are overachieving. Chargers have slipped. They started really, really good. They were 4-1. They've been in and out. I think their last 6 or so games, it's been a win, a loss, a win, a loss, a win, a loss. Very inconsistent as of late. So I'd like to see them get back on track. But right, these are two teams fighting for a playoff spot. Obviously, the Chargers need this win a little more than the Bengals do. But Joe, to answer your question, I'd start my franchise with Joe Burrow. I don't know, something about it. There's 60 touchdowns in college. Come on.
Yeah. Well, to me, and the reason why I say I'm right, Sean, is Mac Jones. It's Mac Jones is my response to whether I'm right or not. Again, I think a guy who's got pedigree, I think a guy who's been to a national championship, I just think that the adjustment to the NFL, I think it helps. I think it helps to just be a winner. Now, you mentioned Herbert hasn't been playing that well of late. A big part of the problem, Sean, and this is kind of shocking because you talked about the talent around him. The Chargers have 28 drop passes this season. That is second in the NFL. Only the Miami Dolphins have done a worse job, and I would assume with the month 2 it just had, that accuracy-wise, we'll get into that in a little bit, that most of those drops happened earlier in the year. This is a real problem for the Chargers is they're just not hanging on to passes. Now, 28 drop. That's 28 incomplete passes from Justin Herbert. Say half of those got caught. Woof. That is bad news. How do you explain this, Sean?
It's definitely a concerning stat. I didn't even know about that till you brought it up. But I mean, it makes sense. They're playing a bunch of close games. So I mean, like you said, even if they catch half of these, I mean, there's definitely some games that they could have closed out where they didn't. So it's a concerning stat. I didn't even realize that. But I mean, there's drop passes all the time that we see that cost games. I mean, we're all Giants fans. We know that the Darius Slayton catch week 2 against Washington. I mean, that could have been
Jalen.
that could have closed. Yeah, that could have closed out the game. So I mean, there's situations like that all the time where I mean, it's make or break in the NFL. There's one play that could decide every game, and so Chargers they've been playing in close games the past 6 weeks. They've been lucky to get away with some of them, like the Eagles and the Steelers games, but you can't drop passes in the NFL, especially when it's put on you. So I mean, they just got to execute and catch these passes.
Meanwhile, Joe Mixon back-to-back 100-yard games for the first time since 2019. That team could obviously throw the ball. Burrow to Chase has become quite the connection. Joe Mixon is really one of the top 5 running backs in the NFL. I feel like that's a guy who I don't think he gets enough respect. Again, at the end of the day, when you're looking at Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, Saquon Barkley, nobody's playing. Chubb, they're all out. You know what Mixon does? Plays every week, and he produces. And really, at the end of the day, what else could you want? This defense is so much better. Obviously, Hendrickson, 10.5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, has been a beast. There's a lot of guys on this defense we could talk about. I think that's the big difference in this team is how much better this defense is playing. It certainly makes things a lot easier on the offensive end when you could stop the other team from scoring. Now, again, I mentioned the hiccups to Cleveland and to the Jets. And, here's the thing. Even the 86 Giants, Sean, lost a couple of games. It's just sort of part and parcel, and it's never the teams you think you're going to lose to. The Chargers, I think, are desperate to get a win today, but I don't think it's going to happen. And I feel like this is going to be Sean. I think this one comes down to the wire, and I think the Chargers come up short again.
I mean, that's been the recipe the last couple of weeks, playing in close games and then blowing it at the end. And I don't think it's necessarily on the offense, though. You mentioned the Bengals defense has really turned it around this year. The Chargers defense, I think, is what's holding this team back, especially their run defense. They can't stop anyone against the run. So you mentioned Joe Mixon before. I think that he's going to have a monster day. I think that they're going to feed him. And Jamar Chase, I think they're going to look for him early and often, too. This Chargers secondary is pretty suspect aside from Derwin James. So I think Jamar Chase his numbers have dipped the last couple of weeks a little bit. So I think they're going to try to get him back into the game plan, try and get him some more confidence, get him the ball early, and then ride Joe Mixon from there because this team cannot stop the run to save their lives. So it's this Chargers defense I'm worried about. I think that the Chargers will be able to score points. I think that this will be a high scoring game. But I do agree. I would give the Bengals the advantage in this one. I just think that they're more of the complete team right now. They have the run game going. They have their passing game going, obviously. And this defense, like you said, they get pressure after the quarterback with Trey Hendrickson, Sam Hubbard. Secondary has been playing a lot better. Logan Wilson has been one of the better linebackers in the league this year, getting turnovers, playing good against the run and the pass. So this defense has really stepped up this year, and I think they'll do it again today. I think it will be a close game because, like I said, Chargers are always in close games every week, it seems like. So I think this will definitely be a fun one, but I do give the advantage to the Bengals because the Chargers are just so inconsistent. You don't know what you're going to get with them every week. So I think it will be a good matchup, but I give the advantage to the Bengals as well.
Lucas, you're obviously taking Burrow and the Bengals after what you said earlier, yeah?
Yeah, that's what I'd go. I'd pick the Bengals today. But then again, you think, I mean, we've talked in our group chats, the many of them that there are. This NFL season has been so unpredictable. I mean, there's week in, week out, there's upsets that you never, ever, ever see coming. I mean, 2 of the Jets wins are against, like we mentioned, the Bengals and the Titans, who are both playoff teams. So it's just a lot of unexpected stuff happening in the NFL this year, which is awesome. I love it. I'd pick the Bengals, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Chargers pull one out also. So, but if I had to put some dough on it, I'd take Cincy.
I had a 5-team parlay last week that got done in by, of all teams, the New York Giants. Yes, I
was at that game. Love it.
I took the Eagles.
That's what
I enjoyed the Giants win just the same, even though I knew it cost me money. So it's all good. Yeah. And I'm not doing that again, ever again. All right, we're gonna take
not on Mike Glennon Day.
If ever there was a day to bet against the Giants, though, I would think today would be the day. I think. All right. Still to come, we're going to talk Cardinals, Bears, Broncos, Chiefs, Patriots, Bills, and we'll definitely talk Giants and Dolphins. Take a quick break. This sponsorship from Jess Rydell at BB Real Estate in Middletown, Connecticut.
So, Jess, why did you become a realtor?
I worked in various customer service jobs, so I wanted something a little bit more rewarding.
So, Jess, why did you become a realtor?
I worked in various customer service jobs, so I wanted something a little bit more rewarding. Becoming a real estate agent, being able to help people find their forever homes or their investment homes, starter homes. It's very exciting, so a lot of fun.
Now, you've gotten off to a really good start in your real estate career. What has been the most rewarding part of this for you so far?
helping people, especially like first-time home buyers, finding their first home. They're so excited. I'm so excited to help them. So it's a nice, rewarding part.
What is it that you think makes you different than other real estate agents?
I think that my various roles in customer service has helped me. So I like to ask a lot of questions and I want to know what I'm doing. So I think that helps a lot because I'm not going to steer people the wrong way. I'm going to make sure they have knowledgeable decisions and help them find the right home.
Last thing I'm going to ask you is, and I know these are words that you live by, but the mantra at CTBD Realty is?
People over paychecks, do the damn thing.
And that's what we do.
You hit Jess right now up. Tell her Clovercrest Media Group sent you. All right, now we're going to get into the game, Arizona and Chicago. This game, on the surface, this game does not look like it's going to work out very well for the Bears. However, as Lucas just alluded to a minute ago, this is the NFL 2021, and all kinds of crazy things happen. Bears defense is still pretty decent. 10th overall. They do struggle against the rush, which is good because Arizona likes to throw the ball. And that is their strong suit. I feel like this Cardinals defense has been the difference in this team from a year ago. Straight across the board, if you look at this team, I mean, I think it's much improved. This team also wins a lot on the road. And the Bears defense, not so great. So with some of these things in mind, the fact the Cardinals are 6-0 on the road this season, and they've won their last 6 road games by 10 or more points. Chase Edmonds not going to be in the game. Andy Dalton starting for the Bears. This feels like, to me, Lucas, like it should be a relatively easy day for the Cardinals, but they're at Soldier Field. I don't know.
Yeah. So first of all, Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins are game time decisions, although they are leaning towards, I heard, being active in this game. They've both missed the past 3 games with injury. I mean, Ovi makes a good point. It could be very well a trap game for the Arizona Cardinals going into it a little unprepared.
I don't know if you can have a trap game coming off a bye. We just recently discussed the definition of a trap game. I think you have to be coming off a loss. They're coming off a bye, so I understand. I think we have another word that we've been using for what this game is. But finish your point.
No, don't worry about it. But like I said, it could be a very different game if it's Colt McCoy starting in this game, but I think Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins will be a go. Obviously, you mentioned Chase Edmonds is out, but James Conner has, believe it or not, 13 or 14 touchdowns this year, which is absolutely crazy because the week after I traded him in fantasy, he wants to go and score 40 points. But besides the fact,
that hurts.
I think obviously, like you said, Joe, it's a cool matchup. I mean, the Bears, like you said, are 10th in pass defense, and the Cardinals love throwing the ball. So we'll see how that works out. I do think the Cardinals will get the better of them. I think Kyler Murray, while he might show a little rust in the first half, I think he'll figure it out. A great game manager that guy is. Obviously, Cardinals are 9-2. Like you mentioned, Joe, what's Justin Fields going to do against this defense? I mean, come on. He can barely throw the ball more than 15 yards through the air without getting intercepted. So let's just pump the brakes on that. Bears offense obviously is not. If there's an under on this game, hammer the hell out of it.
That's solid advice. Dalton did throw for 317 yards last week and a touchdown.
Oh, that's right.
Again,
it's Andy Dalton, not Justin.
I was going to say, you know what? When you're losing, you're probably going to throw for 300 yards. Bears have won 5 of the past 7 games overall in the series. However, the road team has won 5 straight wins. The game is in Chicago. Sean, what do you think? Any chance the Bears could pull this off? Again, being 2021, probably, but what do you think?
No, definitely not. I mean, there's been obviously a lot of upsets in that league this year, but the Bears offense is just so bad. I mean, there's been reports that they want Matt Nagy out of there, and they should just do it after this game once they get blown out, because it's the era is just done for Matt Nagy. Andy Dalton at 300 yards, good for him. You played the Lions. You're going against an actual defense this week that has a pass rush with Marcus Golden, Chandler Jones. Their secondary has been playing very well. They have great linebacking core, so I don't see much success for them going all day. Allen Robinson, who was probably a top 10 receiver for the past couple of years, has been a no-show this year. They've barely even been looking his way. David Montgomery is really the only solid player on that offense right now. I don't think he understands. We have the definitions right. All right, this is not a trap game, Obi. Okay, this is a blowout. This is what you call this game.
I spent a lot of time breaking down trap games, letdown games. I came up with a whole chart so that we wouldn't argue about trap games. This is definitely a game that just the way this crazy NFL season's going, I don't put it past anybody. I mean, I took the money line on the Texans to beat the Titans a couple weeks ago. I threw $5 at that just because I thought, yeah, of course that'll happen, and then it did. So obviously, as Ovi says, there's no such thing as easiness on Sunday. No one's saying that, but on paper, this is a cakewalk for the Cardinals.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not just on paper too. It'll be on the field.
Mostly on the field, but
yeah,
definitely on the paper.
I mean, the Bears' offense, just like they're not going to be able to score enough points. The Cardinals' defense is solid. David Montgomery, like I said, is really the only playmaker, and I think they'll be able to stop him on the ground, especially if they load the box and key in on him. Because other than Allen Robinson, Darnell Mooney is okay for the Bears, but I just don't see Andy Dalton getting it done. And I'm sure that Kyler Murray and D Hop are definitely going to want to start off where they left off before they got injured, and I expect a big day from both of them. So I know it's been a crazy NFL season, but I don't think this is one of those games that's going to end up being a upset.
So obviously it's been quite the season, 9-2 for Arizona, and the other team in the NFC that is maybe the best team, and the team that they're attempting to outpace today would be the Green Bay Packers, who are 9-3. Riley Valdez, who we call Pride, great dude. He has done a player profile this week on the Packers, and the interesting thing was Pride chose Arizona last week. I don't know why he keeps picking teams in a bye, but if we would have flipped him, Pride, I think we would have nailed this. Anyway, here's my man Pride with his profile of the Arizona Cardinals.
Talking about one of the best teams in the NFC and perhaps even all of football, the Green Bay Packers. I'm going to break it down for you. Now, the Packers have a great team top to bottom. They're top 10 in both offensive defense. But let's look at the defense side of the ball. So the Packers are ranked 8th overall in terms of defense. They are 9th in interceptions, 7th in overall turnovers, 8th in points allowed, and 12th in overall yards allowed. This is a team that plays with grit. They play very physical, and they want you to know we're here and you need to go through it. Now, obviously, they lost Jair Alexander. However, you do have other players stepping up, and obviously, in terms of leadership, their safety, Adrian Amos, is still there to make sure this team on the defensive side of the ball is still gelled together. And obviously, when you have a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, who can have his leadership go all around and make sure everyone is still up and everyone is still elevated and everyone is still playing at a very high level of play, that helps a lot. And on top of that, them having a very high-powered offense, it gives the defense that breathing room. It gives them the sense of relief that we're not going out there and doing all this work just for the offense to squabble it. They're great on both sides of the ball. So defensively, this team is to reckon with. Now, obviously, they do sometimes let up big plays in terms of passing. However, those plays that they gamble on that ends up going to the house, and those same plays, they end up forcing fumbles and picking the ball off. So it's a risk that the Packers play. And lucky for them, it's been working in their favor all year. Now that we got the defense side out of the way, let's break down their offense. Now, the Green Bay Packers offense is ranked 3rd in the league. They are 11th in points scored. They are 8th in overall yards. They are 8th in passing yards, 7th in passing touchdowns, and in the red zone attempt, they are 3rd in touchdowns. So these guys offensively, they're phenomenal. No debate about it. Obviously led by Aaron Rodgers, the reigning MVP, a top quarterback in this league. He is, even though people have questions about him, there's still a top 5 quarterback in the league. Obviously, he has Davante Adams, who is a top 2 wide receiver alongside with D-Hop. You can have it either 1A or 1B, whoever you want. At the end of the day, Davante Adams is a great receiver. And you have a 2-headed monster in the running back position. So you have this offense that, frankly, can score. And they love to throw the ball, especially with Aaron Rodgers. He loves airing the ball out. And why wouldn't you want to air the ball out, especially when you have a target like Davante Adams, where you know his route running is immaculate and you know his hands are secured. If you throw it to him, more times than not, Davante Adams will get the ball, he will catch it, and he will also elongate the play. So a quick 5-route slam can all of a sudden turn into a 20, 25, 30-yard gain because of how special this kid really is. Now, Davante Adams obviously is not his only weapon. You have Randall Cobb, who's actually turning out to be pretty decent for this team. You have Mercedes Lewis, who, again, as a tight end, is phenomenal in the role that he plays in Green Bay. And Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Alan Lazar as well. Those are 2 guys who just have no problem fitting in their roles in Green Bay. And like I mentioned earlier, the 2-headed monster at running back, Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. This team is just very balanced. They know how to play good football. And obviously, having a head coach like Matt LaFleur who understands the game, and regardless of what people believe about him, he is commandeering the respect of this locker room to the point that when he's talking, you see the players paying attention. The players are bought in, and that's what it takes, especially now in the very crucial stretch of this season, to become a Super Bowl team. So that's going to be the spotlight for me. It's going to be the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers has been struggling to get over the hump recently. This year, can it be his year? We'll find out come playoffs. Follow my podcast, The Prideful Takes Podcast. I go live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on Facebook and YouTube. We talk about all things sports, you name it, football, basketball, baseball, mixed martial arts. We have that. We do watch-alongs. We have a whole bunch of fun, so feel free, swing by. I promise I don't bite. The Green Bay Packers, they will be a problem. So whatever team runs into them in the playoffs, you better take them serious. Back to you guys in the studio.
I disagree. I think he definitely bites.
He bites. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. So the Packers. That is a very good football team, and obviously Arizona needs to win today to stay 1 game ahead of the Packers. I thought maybe the Super Bowl this year was going to be the Packers and the Chiefs. That's starting to look like for a while. It looked like that wasn't going to happen. But boy, have the Chiefs turned things around. Everybody had them pretty much counted out for dead. I still think that this team, while the defense is playing a lot better, I still think that this team is going to get exposed come playoff time. I really do. And Patrick Mahomes has thrown 11 interceptions. I'll kind of get into that in a minute as to not all his fault, but he's doing things that Patrick Mahomes doesn't do. And the Broncos have been one of those AFC West teams that, while the opportunities have been there for them to maybe take the bull by the horns, so to speak, no one's really done it, and it's allowed the Chiefs to crawl their way back in the first place. They've won 12 straight games against the Broncos, so the news just gets worse by the day here. This feels like another victory for the Chiefs. It's very difficult to play at Arrowhead. Andy Reid generally coming off a bye. His team is ready to go, and they win 19 of 22. Sean, this feels like the Chiefs win this game. Do you think the Broncos have enough to pull off an upset, keep it close?
I don't know about pull off an upset, but I think they can definitely keep it close, especially with the way this defense has been playing lately. Their secondary is playing at a very high level. Patrick Surtain has been playing great, the rookie. Justin Simmons is one of the better safeties in the league. So the secondary keeps teams in front of them. I think that they're definitely going to key in on Tyreek Hill, try to make sure he doesn't get over the top of his defense. And their pass rush and running defense has also been playing pretty well, their front seven. So I think they have enough to keep this game close. But like you mentioned, the Chiefs defense has really stepped it up the last couple of weeks. Obviously, we know Steve Spagnuolo from his time with the Giants here, but he's one of the better defensive coordinators in the league. He saw what was wrong with this defense, and he started to turn it around. I think that, getting Melvin Ingram before the trade deadline was a huge for them. It moves Chris Jones back to his normal spot in the middle of that defense. So their pass rush has been playing a lot better. Their secondary, they have a lot of young players who have stepped up the past couple of weeks. Rashad Fenton, L'Jarius Sneed, Travarius Ward, and obviously you have the Honey Badger back there too. So they have talent on this defense. It's just all about getting it together, and they've done that the past couple of weeks. They also have a rookie in Nick Bolton, who has quietly been one of the better linebackers in the league this year. He's tremendous against the run. He's pretty good against the pass. So I think this defense is the key if the Chiefs want to have sustained success, and especially, going into the playoffs. But you mentioned Patrick Mahomes. He has 11 interceptions, but the majority of them were early on in the season. I think that he's been taking care of the ball more the past couple of weeks. And obviously, when you have weapons like Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, probably the best 1-2 receiving duo in the league, regardless of receiver or tight end, I think that you're going to figure it out at some point. And I think that the Chiefs are legit. I think that they definitely have a chance to return to the Super Bowl this year. So I think the Broncos will keep it close because of this defense, but I don't think the Broncos offense has enough, especially against the Chiefs defense that's playing well. So I think it will be a pretty good Sunday night matchup. But like you mentioned, the Chiefs have owned this rivalry for the past couple of years. So I think that continues Sunday night. But I think it will be a pretty relatively close game.
5 of those 11 Mahomes interceptions have literally deflected off of his receiver's head or hands and into the defense. So, yeah, you look at that, 6 picks in 11 games, definitely not as bad. Lucas, we're going to talk about these Broncos for a minute. This defense is really good. There's weeks where the whole team falls apart, and I think that's the biggest problem that they have. They've allowed the fewest trips into the red zone this season with 25. Since Fangino became the head coach, their red zone defense, they've allowed just 46.2% of opponents' trips inside the 20 to turn into points. That is some serious defense. Now, I should add, some of that was obviously when Von Miller was on this defense, but this team trades Von Miller to the Rams. They don't seem to skip a beat. Again, this weirdo NFL season, the Broncos going to Arrowhead, winning a football game. Do you see it?
You mentioned their defense. Obviously, that's a huge part of their team. It's not as great as it was supposed to be coming in. A lot of people thought they were like a quarterback away from being a Super Bowl contender. I don't think that's the case. They do have some very talented players on that defense. Bradley Chubb, like Sean mentioned, Patrick Surtain, who they drafted this year. Von Miller, obviously, who they traded away, but got some value back for him, draft capital-wise. And this team, I think they're very good drafters, so they can build this defense. And they also have just, Sean also mentioned, one of the best safeties in the league in Justin Simmons. So is it impossible for them to win tonight in Arrowhead? Tonight in Arrowhead? I don't think so. Will it happen? I also don't think so. And here, Joe, I'm going to get a little off track. I was a little heated when this game was flexed to prime time, because if you'll remember, it was originally, I think, the Seahawks and the 49ers. They had the option. They could flex this game or they could flex Cincinnati and Los Angeles. And the NFL, over choosing two of the greatest, like we talked about, up-and-coming quarterbacks in this league, in Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert, they put Patrick Mahomes in prime time once again. I mean, when's the last time, can you guys even recall a time seeing the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday Night Football? Because I can't. What an opportunity that would have been for them, and, you know, shed national spotlight on Joe Burrow, and the NFL squandered it again just to show poster boy Patrick Mahomes. And I usually don't get mad at that stuff, but that kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
You know
Can't
what?
get enough of Patrick Mahomes on Sunday Night Football.
Well, yeah. I mean, fair
I
enough.
mean, that's the way the NFL sees it. That's their, like Lucas said, that's the poster boy of the NFL. So
no, they're not wrong. Yeah. So, all right. It's gonna be a tough week for Denver. I think we all agree. Arrowhead really, it's just one of the toughest places to play in all of the NFL. So
yeah, certainly.
Good luck.
Well, my best bet this week is Broncos plus 9.5. So stay under 10.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I wasn't on the show. I wasn't on the show Wednesday, John, about the G-Men, but just in case you don't believe me, Broncos plus 9.5, and my fantasy lock is Leonard Fournette.
Ooh, that is pretty good stuff right there.
I'm
all right.
back.
Yeah, you needed to. That was the important thing.
I couldn't get behind much any farther.
We're gonna talk Monday Night Football next, and then we'll finish things off. Giants Dolphins. Take a quick look at the fantasy reports around the league. But first, let's take a quick break and hear from our good friends at JPEX Financial.
Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement, but you don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? And how often do you think about it? The team at JPEX Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies, doing the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident with your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website or give us a call at 860-430-5397.
Big thank you to JPEX Financial. Again, let them know Clovercrest Media sent you. Excellent business, excellent people. And speaking of excellent people, boy, these New England Patriots, just the way the season started, you probably didn't think too much of them. The way the Bills started this season, you certainly didn't think that there was any chance. Patriots have certainly turned things around. It's been very impressive. That defense, in my opinion, is championship caliber. I think that offense with Mac Jones is good enough. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but his numbers in the first 12 games of his career are very much on par all across the board with Tom Brady. I hate to link the two. It's impossible not to. But listen, the accuracy, the smarts, I mean, the leadership of this rookie is, to me, off the charts.
I mean, what do they call him?
Patriots team is peaking at the right time. They've won 6 in a row. They've won their last 6 by an average score of 35-11. Lucas, are the Patriots back? Are they the kings of the AFC East?
It's starting to look that way, and I hate to say that. I mean, when you mention Mac Jones and Tom Brady in the same breath, it just brings me, pain. I mean, as Giants fans living in New England, we certainly hear it from those fans. Although we do have 2 Super Bowl wins over them, I feel like that's nothing compared to the fact that they have 6. since 2004 or 2001, whatever the hell that was. So it hurts to hear. Obviously, I have a lot of friends who are Patriots fans. My brother, is even a Patriots fan, and he never lets me live that down. I remember one year we were watching the Seahawks and the Pats when Russell Wilson threw that goal line interception. They literally beat me up after because I was the only one cheering for the Seahawks, and they were just so happy that the Patriots won. So I've been receiving literal ass whoopings for Tom Brady winning Super Bowls, and I don't appreciate that, and I don't like that Mac Jones is stepping in and basically being compared to the second coming of Tom Brady. Joe,
and he hasn't buckled under the pressure one bit. It's and the worst part of it, isn't it?
Like you mentioned, the defense is championship level. I mean, that's what it looks like so far. And what's the great mantra of all these great Patriots teams is a very, very good defense. So it's scary. I mean, you mentioned the accuracy. I think they nicknamed Mac Jones Maccurate Jones because he's just
– Oh, I like that.
I was going to say that every week now. You should have never said that.
I wish I would have thought of it myself. Oh, man.
So, Joe, I'll let you have fun with that one. But, yeah, unfortunately, I think the Patriots are back. I don't think they'll compete for a Super Bowl this year, but they certainly are trending upwards.
Well, I definitely think Super Bowls are on the horizon, and I think this is going to be the game that will set them on that path. The Bills are 3-3 since that impressive 4-1 start. I hear a lot of talk, Sean, that the Patriots haven't really beaten anybody. Have you heard that? That their wins aren't against any good teams. Buffalo's beaten one team with a winning record heading into Week 13, and that was when the Chiefs weren't good. That's a problem. Josh Allen, 7 interceptions in his last 4 outings. That is not a very Josh Allen-esque thing to do. This team, this is one of the most insane things I've ever seen, like a Jekyll and Hyde situation. In their 7 wins, 37 points a game, Allen's got 19 touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns, and 5 picks. In the 4 losses, this team has scored 17 points, 6 touchdowns, 5 picks, 2 lost fumbles. And it's not just the offense. On defense, 23 takeaways, 15 picks, 17 sacks, and 7 wins, a pick, a forced fumble, and 4 sacks in the 4 losses. This team is very much do or die, Sean. I mean, you either get the Bills or you get some shell version of the Bills. I think a lot of this has to do with the running game, though, and it's just still being too reliant of an offense on Josh Allen. When he struggles, it's easy, I think, for the whole team to fall apart.
That's exactly the point I was just going to bring up, is that this whole offense relies on Josh Allen's shoulders because they don't have the run game. And obviously they have those great receivers. So it's all on Josh Allen to really get the job done. And he has struggled in the past couple of weeks. So it definitely doesn't help that they're going against a Patriots defense that likes or gets a lot of turnovers. They have a good pass rush with Matthew Judon, who might be the best free agent signing of this offseason. He's been tremendous for the Patriots so far. J.C. Jackson, they don't call him Mr. INT for no reason. He gets the takeaways, and the rest of the secondary has been great too. So the Bills, I mean, they're going to have to find some semblance of a run game if they want to make any type of run this year. Obviously, I know, Joe, that you've said before that that's what kind of is holding this team back, and I agree with that. And I think that on the defense side of the ball, it doesn't help that they lose Tre'Davious White for the rest of the year with torn ACL, one of the best corners in the game. Luckily, they do have a pretty good secondary behind that with their safeties, but it's going to be tough to stop Mac Jones the way that they've been playing right now. Even with not great receivers, not household names, they still have some solid guys with Kendrick Bourne, Jacoby Myers, and Josh McDaniels knows how to run a Mac Jones type of offense. It's a lot of crossing routes, a lot of underneath stuff, and then they use that run game to get play action and have Mac Jones air it out down the field. So. The run game has been great with Damian Harris. Ramondre Stevenson, I think he was a 5th or 6th round pick, late round pick this year. He's a rookie. He's been great. So this offensive line really gets some movement up front, and I think the offense fits Mac Jones perfectly. So I think it will be a good game. I think the Bills are going to get up for this game. I think that Sean McDermott is a great coach, and he's going to get this team up. I think that, the message in that locker room this week is probably that, hey, do we want to be the kings of the AFC East? If not, I mean, this young and upcoming Patriots team is going to take it over. So I think they'll get up for this game, especially it being a primetime game Monday night. But like I said, losing Tre'Davious White hurts. The whole offense really relies on Josh Allen. So I see the Patriots winning this game, honestly. I think it will be a close one. But like you said, the Patriots are rolling right now. But the one thing I will point out is that you said they're peaking at the right time. Are they peaking too early? Because there's still a couple weeks left in the season. They've won 7 in a row. And I don't see this team winning 10+ in a row going into the playoffs. So obviously they're rolling right now, but are they peaking too early is something that I'm going to keep my eye on.
You know what? You're not wrong. I will say that. That's tough. That's tough to think about. Thanks for ruining my day. All right. Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, that's what you wanted to do. It's behooved me to have, since the two of you are on this show, Sean Scanlon. You will also know from John about the G-Men, but he does a basketball podcast called the Posting Up Podcast with Lucas and with some of the other fellas. We'll do a quick promo, come back, we'll do Giants, Dolphins, and we'll talk some fantasy football.
Attention all basketball fans. CMG Sports presents the Posting Up Podcast, where Lucas Bolduc, Sean Scanlon, and King Zay discuss the latest news and topics throughout the NBA. So, if you have a love for basketball, make sure you check out the Posting Up Podcast, live every Tuesday and Saturday on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Also available for download on every podcast platform.
Guys do an excellent job talking basketball. So if you're a hoops fan, I can't imagine you wouldn't be. Make sure you check out the Posting Up a Podcast. All right. Now, I thought a lot about what the last game of the week was going to be, and knowing it was going to be the two of you on the show, I thought we got to talk Giants and Dolphins. And I don't know why. I just felt like this was necessary. This Giants team, I hate this more than usual because, I don't know, I feel like this team never does what you think they're going to do. Today's game, they should lose this game. They should lose this game by a lot. And I think the Giants are going to probably pull off a miracle today. I do. The Dolphins are trying to get to 6-7. They become just a fourth team to start 1-5 and go to 6-7. Daniel Jones isn't playing because apparently he sustained a neck injury while he was carrying the Giants on his back. Tough injury for Jones. But meanwhile, Tua completed 80.5% of his passes in the month of November. He was 62 for 77. He was one completion away from tying Peyton Manning's single-season accuracy record. Now, I think that's the key to the Dolphins winning any football game is Tua checking down, sort of like Mac Jones does. I think that's and then look, you throw the ball down the field every now and again. I feel like things have certainly turned around for the Dolphins. When they were 1-5, I remember thinking, I don't think the Dolphins really are this bad. So to see them at 5-7 with a chance to get to 6-7, Lucas, I feel like the Dolphins, maybe this team trying to hang with the Bills and the Patriots, trying to get into a wild card spot. They certainly need a win today against the Giants. This would be an inexcusable loss. Why do I feel like they're going to lose?
You're not. It's just because it's been crazy. I mean, the Dolphins were absolute garbage to start the year. They've obviously, like you said, Joe, they've won a lot of games in a row. They won 4 games in a row. They were just down in the trenches, and now all of a sudden they look like they have some revitalized – something about them is revitalized this was a team coming in that a lot of people thought after last year would take another step forward and be fighting with the Bills and the Patriots, maybe even just the Bills, because I think the Patriots are outperforming their expectations as well for that top spot in the AFC East. But they haven't looked like that. Tua has been very inconsistent. They've been running the ball pretty well and playing some pretty good defense during this winning streak. Giants defense isn't horrible. Intercepting Jalen Hurts 3 times last week certainly showed that we are capable of playing some good defense, only allowing 7 points to the Eagles, who, by the way, put up 44 points against the Lions, so they're capable of scoring. Joe, I don't disagree. In a game you think the Giants would lose, especially with Mike Glennon playing quarterback, Giants are going to win this game 35-0. just based on the flukeness of the NFL this year, I wouldn't be surprised. But I think Miami should take this game. That's something I'm going to look out for. If maybe Judge gets sick of Mike Glennon, if Jake Fromm gets into this game, because obviously he was a very talented college quarterback at Georgia, and then coming into the league, he played in Buffalo. There's been a lot of talk. Mike Glennon came out and said, Fromm's been on the bench for 2 games against Miami, so he's very insightful, and he's given him some key information about playing against Miami. I don't know how much you can gather from sitting on the bench. I've obviously never sat on an NFL bench. I'm assuming you have to be prepared for these games if you're backing up a quarterback and you can come into the game at any moment. So maybe that really did help Mike Glennon, and maybe he'll have a Mike White game and throw 5 touchdowns and 400-something yards. Anyone got money on Mike Glennon being this week's leading passer?
I do not.
Nope.
I do not. All right, Sean. Let's think about this. Mike Glennon is the starter. Jake Fromm backing things up. This team's got to get the ball to Saquon Barkley. 17 touches against Philly, only 53 yards, 32 on that one play. How do the Giants get Saquon going? How do they get Kenny Gallaudet involved? And can they do all of these or any of these things with the great veteran backup Mike Glennon at the helm today?
Yeah, I mean, they got to get Saquon involved early and often. I think that get him involved in the passing game. If the running game isn't working, we all know that Saquon's a great receiver out of the backfield. I mean, you could send him on angle routes. You could even put him out wide and get him the ball. But obviously, we know that Saquon's an electric player. We saw on that 32-yard carry that he is kind of hit or miss. He usually has either short gains or big gains. But if you give him some space, if you give him some blockers ahead of him, I think that obviously he's shown that he can break off some big plays. So I think use him in the passing game as much as you can. Obviously, you mentioned Kenny Gallaudet too. Last week, he kind of got involved a little bit more. So just try and find some easy throws from Mike Glennon, because this is his first action since week 5 against the Cowboys, where he didn't even start the game. He came in the second half after Daniel Jones got hurt. So first time for some NFL action for him in a while. So try and make some easy throws for him. But I think that it's going to be tough against this Dolphins defense that has been playing a lot better ever since that game against the Ravens. They've really stepped it up a notch. So I think that you just got to try and find some easy plays for Mike Glennon, especially with a new play caller and Freddie Kitchens in there. But so I expect this to be a really ugly game. I think it's going to be super low scoring. Even though Tua and the Dolphins offense has been playing better as of late, so is the Giants defense. These are 2 hot defenses meeting at the same time. So 2 great secondaries. I think it'll be a sloppy game, especially with a backup and Mike Glennon in there. But I also wouldn't be surprised if the Giants won. I just think it's going to be an ugly, slow, played out game. But I think the Dolphins will pull it out. But you never know with these Giants. Whenever you think they're going to lose, like you said, they end up winning the game. That's just it's Giants we know and love, unfortunately.
All right. Jared Jones generally does his puncher's chance. He hasn't gotten his into me yet. And he's been helping me. I'm going to share the parlays I have for today. I'm starting out with a 5-team parlay, $10 on the Colts, the Vikings, the Bengals, the Cardinals, and the Buccaneers. Teams are all favored. $10 pays you $41.77. I think outside of maybe the outside of the Cardinals game. I don't really sniff any upsets in that one. I also picked a great 3-team parlay. Texans, Bears, and the Washington football team. $2 pays out $63. Those are very much worth it. I also did a parlay. Giants, Bears, Chargers. $1 bet wins you $25. How do you not go for that? How do you not do that? And then finally, a 5-team parlay. Bengals, Eagles, Cardinals, Bucks, Vikings. I threw 20 on this. Payout is $95.22. So I hit last night for $82 on a 3-team parlay. I took Baylor, Utah State, and roll tide roll. I've been telling everybody. I read an article on ESPN this morning, by the way. I hate when ESPN writes these irresponsible articles where they say everybody who's calling college football said Georgia was going to win. I've been saying all year that Bama was going to beat Georgia, even when Georgia was playing their best football. I know what I'm talking about. Take my bets. Trust me. You'll be all right. All right. Sanders, my man, hooked this up. Here's his definitely got a stardoms today. Tom Brady going up against that terrible Atlanta defense. Jonathan Taylor's facing Houston, who has the 23rd ranked run defense. And Justin Jefferson's playing the Lions. What else do I have to say? Expect a 20-point game. All very reasonable things as we head into the weekend. All right, just a quick look around the league. Gentlemen, let's take a look at the injury report, kind of figure out who's in, who's out. I'll start off right now. Quarterbacks, we talked about Kyler Murray. He is expected to make his return today. It will still be a game-time decision. Jalen Hurts is also questionable. Could see Gardner Minshew again, game-time decision. Justin Fields out. Daniel Jones is also out. Lucas, running backs, I already know I'm scrambling as usual because I think the top guy on your list is Dalvin Cook, and it's just another knife in the heart as usual.
And believe it or not, you say Dalvin Cook is out. DeAndre Swift is also out. A buddy of mine has both of them as his running backs. So,
and he'll be starting Mike Davis today.
Well, he couldn't. He unfortunately couldn't get a hand on Jamal Williams. I have been stashing Madison on my bench, so that's good for me. But those two big names obviously are huge. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is questionable for the Chiefs. Josh Jacobs is also questionable for the Vegas Raiders today against the football team. If he's unable to suit up, obviously Kenyon Drake would be a good fantasy option. Broncos ruled out Melvin Gordon. Darrell Henderson is questionable for the Rams. James Robinson is questionable. A lot of big names on this running back list for injuries. But like we all know, running backs take the most bumps out of anyone, so them being injured really isn't that bad. But a lot of big names on this list.
Yeah, Jordan Howard is out. Boston Scott is ill. Yep. So Miles Sanders, who came back last week to a pitiful amount of carries, will probably take on a much bigger workload this week. Sean, what's going on wide receiver-wise? Who's in, who's out?
So Deebo Samuel is going to be out for the Niners today. That's a huge loss for them, not just for the passing game, but the running game as well. Deebo Samuel has been getting a lot of carries, so expect a big day from Brandon Ayuk. I think that, he's stepped up the last couple of weeks as well. So for him, I think it's a big opportunity. It's DeAndre Hopkins is questionable right now. I think that they're going to want to get him in the game, even against a struggling Bears team. I think that they're going to want to try and ease him into it, but get him some touches because he hasn't played in a little while, along with Kyler Murray. Odell Beckham is questionable with a hip injury after scoring his first touchdown last week. We'll see if he's a go this week and if he can help out that Rams offense. Antonio Brown will remain out with him and his fake vaccination cards. Nothing says Antonio Brown like a good old fake vaccination card. So
funny, in the preseason, he was voted most likely to present a fake identification card. So not shocked by that at all.
There you go. I'm sure if you had to bet on that, he would be easily the favorite. So
yeah, if FanDuel was taking odds, I like to think he would have been like, yeah,
should just chew him in as the favorite. But
you would have done well though with Aaron Rodgers in that pool. You wouldn't have thought that, but that would have been a nice payout.
Yeah, definitely. Some good odds on that. Allen Robinson is doubtful for the Bears, which is definitely going to hurt them. If they want any chance to beat the Cardinals, I think that they're going to want their best receiver, but he's not likely to play. For our Giants, Sterling Shepard and Kadarius Toney, it looks like they are not playing today. They're both doubtful, so it's unfortunate. I mean, this Giants offense has been hampered with injuries literally all year long. Obviously, we get Saquon and Kenny Gallaudet back, but of course, if we get 2 players back, 2 others have to go down the way this Giants season has been going. So that's why I said I think it's going to be an ugly game, especially in a backup quarterback. So don't know what to expect out of that, but definitely not a good sign for them. So, yeah, those are pretty much the big name receivers that are out this week. Deebo Samuel I have in 2 of my fantasy teams, so definitely not looking forward to that, especially with the year he's been having. But, so some big names that are going to be missing out this week.
Yeah, tight end-wise, Darren Waller is out against Washington. Jake Doyle of Indy is a little bit banged up and questionable, as is Ricky Seals-Jones, Kyle Rudolph, and Adam Shaheen from the Miami Dolphins. So not great. Not great for running backs, but I think we're starting to get used to that. By the way, Jared Jones did just come through. I didn't expect he wouldn't. Thank you, brother. Here's what he's got. Here's the Puncher's Chance NFL edition. He's parlaying Eagles over Jets at -220 and Raiders over Washington at -128. Those are 2 very good bets right there. Definitely 2 on my list. So thank you very much to Jared. Thank you very much also to Lucas and to Sean Scanlon. Again, you can catch these guys on the CMG Sports Podcast Network during the week doing John About the G-Men, doing the Posting Up podcast. Lucas, we got to get on that roll call.
Got a lot of baseball to talk about, especially the lockout.
Oh boy! You
guys ready to play MLB The Joe? Instead of the show, it'll be Joe Random in his NFL or MLB career.
I prefer a more generic situation. I'll be honest. If I can create, I just rather do that.
Just a little update quick. I just got a notification. Jalen Hurts is officially inactive today. Gardner Minshew will start.
Minshew madness.
Yeah.
That's almost as cool as being amazingly accurate. Yeah, I'm really gonna like that, Sean. All right. That's gonna do it for us for this week. Enjoy the football games. We will be back here next Saturday at 10 a.m. with the CMG Sports Podcast pregame show.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All 4 Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.